Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the International Monetary Fund claims to be considering ways to assist Sri Lanka in the wake of Cyclone Titwa's catastrophe. According to Treasury Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, the Rebuilding Sri Lanka Fund has received more than 700 million rupees from well-wishers and Sri Lankans residing outside. The ASPI dropped 329.51 points to 21,497.08 and the S&P SL 20 dropped 87.69 points to 5,942.97 as Sri Lanka's stock market closed down today. And Wall Street ended little change as investors evaluated conflicting labor statistics and broader economic signals.
From Studio 24C, here's Vineet Wanasuria.
Good evening and welcome to the nightly business report on the Derana news channel. The International Monetary Fund says it is looking at options to support Sri Lanka aftermath of the disaster caused by Ditwa. The IMF Director of Communications, Julie Kosak, said they will have a better assessment of Sri Lanka's economic situation once the rapid post-disaster damagement assessment is completed. The assessment is being completed by the Sri Lankan authorities in conjunction with other partners.
We are continuing to support Sri Lanka's recovery, reform and resilience under the EFF arrangement. Staff and the Sri Lankan authorities reached a staff-level agreement on the fifth review back in October before the cyclone. And right now, staff is looking into options to further support Sri Lanka in the recovery process. We still expect to have a board meeting on December 15th, but as I said, we are looking into options to further support Sri Lanka, and we will be providing additional details as the assessment of economic needs and damages moves forward, and as we have more information that can inform our own thinking around the options for how we can further support Sri Lanka.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka has formally requested financial assistance from the IMF under the Rapid Financing Instrument for SDR 150.5 million, about 26% of its quota or roughly $200 million. The request is currently under review and awaits approval from the IMF Executive Board. The IMF noted that it remains closely engaged with Sri Lankan authorities during this challenging period and reaffirmed its commitment to supporting the country's recovery, rebuilding efforts and long-term economic resilience.
The tea industry is facing a severe setback with output expected to drop 30 to 35% following Cyclone Ditwa, according to veteran planter Roshan Rajadure, and the disaster has devastated plantations in the central province, compounded by low worker turnout in less affected estates. Despite receding floodwaters, the region remains at risk of landslides and rockfalls, while electricity and essential supplies are still unavailable in many areas. Damaged roads are disrupting the transport of tea and crucial inputs like fertilizer, further impacting production. Approximately 100,000 people have been affected, with the death toll rising 366 and thousands of homes and infrastructure destroyed. While the government has pledged support, Rajadure warned that the restoration efforts will take time, delaying assistance to the plantation sector. Treasury Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma says Rebuilding Sri Lanka Fund has so far received over 700 million rupees from the Sri Lankans living abroad and well-wishers. Dr. Surya Peruma revealed those details, making an announcement to the media.
Through the Bank of Ceylon account that was provided, over 635 million rupees have been received within the last few days. This is through the contribution of more than 30,470 different deposits and contributors in the process. Similarly, through the central bank, there were certain accounts that we shared. Over 61 million Sri Lankan rupees have been received into those accounts. So collectively, more than 476,000 rupees have been received into those accounts. And the details of contributors are from various countries, nearly 33 countries. Sri Lankans, well-wishers, corporations, individuals have donated these funds. For example, highest amount that has been recorded so far has been received from France, followed by Canada, and again from USA, similarly Italy and Korea.
Let's take a short commercial break now. You're watching the Nightly Business Report right here on Derana News Channel. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market closed lower today with the ASPI falling 329.51 points to 21,497.08 and the S&P SL20 dropping 87.69 points to 5,942.97. Trading saw a share volume of 132 million and a turnover of 3.97 billion rupees. For further insights on this, now we have Manusha Kandanarach joining us from First Capital Holdings.
The Colombo stock market extended its downtrend as panic selling persisted, continuing the previous day's negative sentiment. Banking sector counters saw the most activity during the today's trading session, with Sampat Bank, Commercial Bank, John Keel's Holdings, DFCC Bank and Nations Development Bank emerging as the top negative contributors to the index as well. The all-share price index closed at 21,497, losing 330 points, while the S&P SL20 index also ended in the red at 5,943, down 88 points. Both high net worth and retail investor participation remained low. Daily turnover was about 3.9 billion rupees, which is nearly 24% below the monthly average of 5 billion rupees as well. The capital goods sector accounted for nearly 27% of the overall turnover, while the banking and diversified financial sectors collectively contributed 37% of the overall turnover. Top three price losers of the day were Insure Me Insurance Brokers Limited, Rambutter Falls and Tres Agro, while the top three price gainers of the day were Colombo Dockyard PLC, Agstar and the Candy Hotels Company PLC.
The Colombo Stock Exchange ended the week lower with key indices declining. Trading activity remained steady, though investor sentiment was cautious amid ongoing macroeconomic uncertainties. For further insights on this, we have Shana Kanagaratnam joining us from First Capital Holdings.
The Colombo Stock Exchange opened the shortened week on a softer note, with key indices trending lower as severe weather conditions weighed on market sentiment. The economic impact of Cyclone Ditwa, estimated at approximately 210 to 300 billion rupees, prompted investors to adopt a more cautious stance. Overall sentiment remained subdued throughout the week, with many investors opting to take profits amid ongoing weather-related disruptions. Market activities was relatively muted, with daily turnover fluctuating between 3 to 4 billion rupees. Participation from both retail and high net worth investors also eased, reflecting the broader risk-averse environment. From a sectoral standpoint, trading was primarily led by banking, capital goods, and diversified financial sectors, which continued to attract heightened investor interest despite the prevailing headwinds. Thank you.
Gold prices climbed today, supported by a softer US dollar as investors positioned themselves ahead of key inflation data that could influence the Federal Reserve's policy meeting next week. Spot gold rose 0.5% to $4,227.35 per ounce, though the metal remained on track for a modest 0.1% weekly decline. US gold futures for December delivery gained 0.4% to $4,257.90 per ounce. The dollar weakened and hovered near a 5-week low against major peers, offering further support to bullion. Lower interest rates generally boost the appeal of non-yielding assets such as gold, adding to its upward momentum. Investors are now awaiting delayed September PCE index and Fed's preferred gauge of inflation for further direction. Meanwhile, oil prices held steady in Asian trading after posting gains in the previous session. Market sentiment was supported by stalled diplomatic efforts to resolve the Ukraine conflict and expectations of a US Federal Reserve rate cut. Brent oil futures for February slipped 0.2% to $63.15 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 0.3% to $59.30 per barrel. Both benchmarks had risen nearly 1% yesterday. WTI remained on track for 1.5% weekly gain, and analysts said uncertainty surrounding geopolitical developments could continue to keep traders cautious. Investors are also awaiting upcoming US economic data for further direction on interest rate expectations. The The Sri Lankan rupee gained slightly against the US dollar today compared to Wednesday, according to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The dollar's buying rate fell from 305 rupees and 04 cents to 305 rupees, while the selling rate of the rupee edged down from 312 rupees and 62 cents to 312 rupees and 57 cents. Let's take a closer look at how the Sri Lankan rupee is performing against other major global currencies now. Heading into another short commercial break now. You're watching the Nightly Business Report right here on other Derana News Channel. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. John Keel's Holdings' second quarter revenue rose 88% to 144.8 billion rupees, with the EBITDA more than doubling. Growth was driven by a stable economy, strong tourism and robust vehicle sales, while leisure turned profitable.
Though still in its launch phase, City of Dreams Sri Lanka was already close to the EBITDA break-even. The group's confidence in its strategy and cash generation ability was reflected in the doubling of its first interim dividend to 10 cents per share, amounting to a 1.8 billion rupee payout. Overall performance aligned with expectations, with particularly strong results in areas benefiting from structural tailwinds. Retail remained a standout segment led by BYD despite near-term challenges from customs disputes and EV import policies. Nations Trust Bank delivered another strong quarter, bolstering the financial services segment. Transportation saw solid volume growth, though margins were impacted by an unfavorable cargo mix, while CWIT and SAGT benefited from higher output at the Port of Colombo.
Tokyo Cement Group received a CSR Brand of the Year Merit Award at the Slim Brand Excellence 2025 Awards for its strong commitment to social progress and sustainability. The recognition highlights the company's environmental initiatives, including mangrove restoration, coral reef rehabilitation, and forest nurseries. Its renewable energy program and collaborations with farming families have promoted energy independence and rural economic growth. Community-focused projects such as skills development centers, water purification systems, and Nourishing the Future School Meal Initiative have benefited thousands across the country. The award underscores Tokyo Cement Group's dedication to integrating social welfare and environmental stewardship into its operations, advancing its vision of nation building. Ceylon Bank PLC has partnered with eChannelling Private Limited to integrate the bank's open API banking platform, advancing its digital banking journey. The integration enables real-time, secure and automated payments via Lanka Pay's Just Pay services, while ensuring faster transaction settlements and seamless reconciliation. Ceylon Bank's platform allows corporate and SME clients to connect their business systems with the bank, streamlining high-volume transactions and improving efficiency. The partnership enhances payment reliability for customers and partner hospitals, according to eChannelling officials. This collaboration reinforces Ceylon Bank's leadership in digital banking innovation and its commitment to building a connected financial ecosystem in the country. Skipod, a company specializing in advanced sports simulators and lifestyle products, has signed an agreement with the BOI to set up a $3 million manufacturing facility in Sri Lanka. The company is renowned for its flagship Skipod, the world's first indoor ski and snowboarding mixed reality simulator, catering to markets in North America, Europe, and the United Arab Emirates. The simulators offer immersive experiences with adjustable settings, 3D terrain replication, and performance tracking, making them suitable for both beginners and professional athletes. BOI Chairman Arjuna Herath praised the investment, highlighting its potential to provide technology learning opportunities for the Sri Lankan youth. The facility is expected to introduce Industry 4.0 practices, including interconnected machinery, smart factories, and enhanced productivity. Let's head into another short commercial break. Global business updates coming right after this. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stock markets traded mixed today as investors evaluated contrasting signals from major central banks ahead of key US inflation data. Market sentiment was shaped by India's rate cut, expectations of a possible Bank Japan hike, and anticipation surrounding further Federal Reserve's next move. Japanese stocks moved lower, with the Nikkei 225 falling about 1.5% as traders increasingly priced in a December BOJ rate increase. Trading across the broader region remained subdued as investors awaited the US PCE price index, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. China's market were little changed, while the moves elsewhere were mixed, with the Hang Seng slightly down and the Kospi up and the other indexes showing modest shift. Wall Street ended little change, with investors assessing mixed labor data and broader economic signals as expectations for a federal interest rate cut next week help steady equities.
U.S. stocks were little changed at the end of trading on Thursday, with the Dow closing slightly lower, the S&P 500 rising 0.1%, and the Nasdaq adding 0.2%. Investors weighed a report from the Labor Department that showed initial jobless claims dropped to their lowest level in more than 3 years, potentially reducing the odds of a rate cut by the Federal Reserve next week. But in the absence of the November jobs report, which was delayed by the government shutdown, some economists said Fed officials could lean more on the ADP and Revelio Labs reports, which offered a weaker picture of the labor market. Markets are now pricing in an 87% chance the Fed will cut rates by 25 basis points next week, according to CME's FedWatch tool. Stocks on the move Thursday included Amazon, which dragged on the S&P 500 with shares falling nearly 1.5%. Shares of Salesforce climbed more than 3.5% after the company raised its revenue and profit forecasts, anticipating demand for its artificial intelligence agent platform. And shares of Kroger fell more than 4.5% after the supermarket chain narrowed its annual sales forecast and missed quarterly sales estimates.
Volvo Cars reported a drop in November sales, extending its decline this year due to trade tariffs and weak United States demand.
Volvo Cars saw sales slump by 1/10 on the year in November. The Sweden-based automaker cited pressure from trade tariffs and low demand in the US. Volvo said Wednesday it sold 60,244 cars during the month, which dragged its year-to-date volume decline down to 8%. There was a bright spot with fully electric cars. Sales were up 4% year-on-year to make up just under a quarter of overall volume. However, sales of electrified cars as a whole, which includes plug-in hybrids, fell 5% for half of total sales volume. Volvo didn't provide a regional breakdown of demand, but it said demand in the US stayed muted following the country's phase-out of electric vehicle tax credits. Volvo shares were down close to 2% in early trade.
Thank you for watching the Nightly Business Report right here on Other Derana News channel. Well, we value your feedback, so don't forget to send it by email at feedback.adnsenglish@derana.lk or by WhatsApp at 076-8057-933. We'll join you again on Monday with the latest updates happening in the business globe. I'll join you shortly with Other Derana Sports Central.